Hey folks, my name is René Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is René Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is René Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome back to another humdinging episode. Yep, and I think we're going to do that shirt, humdinger. That and periquito, periquito. Yeah, we're going to do those shirts. Because it's such a catchy phrase, right? And the viewers love it. In fact, it's the viewers, some of the viewers that suggested that I create merch like that. So I'll get it done. I'll talk to my manager and editor, and she will get all over it. So first thing I want to do is talk about my buddy here, James. Believe it or not, I was his next door neighbor in Ironwood State Prison. We were in SMY together, and he asked me to help him with his board packet. And I remember he was so obdurate about admitting affiliation with a gang. He went to the board I think one time, and denied any involvement with the gangs, and they hit him for a lack of insight, right? So I worked with him for about 2 years. It was about a year before he even acknowledged it. Okay, Rene, I see you're right. Then we stripped out his board packet, and he presented it and got the grant. But it's an important thing to acknowledge complete responsibility to the BPH and show insight that you understand what position you held within the infrastructure of the gangs. Even if you weren't a member, right? That's all important in going to the BPH. And James focuses on that stuff, right? He's got a new channel out called Excuse Me on the Tier. It's about reentry. He's a senior mentor and coach in one of the rehab groups. And he does a lot of interviews. I've seen a couple of interviews. It's a great show. In fact, I'm going to be coming on a show in the near future. We're going to talk about prepping for the board. And I think it's great for the prison wives, the prison community, the guys that are actively going to the board, trying to get a grant. There'll be some good stuff in there. But I wanted you guys to go check out his channel and subscribe if you like it. I personally like it. And give him a shot. He's got original raw content, and I think it'll be a great thing. I think this is going to be a great channel in the future because he interviews a lot of different personalities. He talks about insight, amends, the whole 9 yards, right? So if you're on that track and you want another channel to watch, go to Excuse Me on the Tier. With that said, let's get on with another humdinger, which is, oops, I tip my hand. Not very slick. But there's another guy out there, my brother, Hector Bravo. Just like James, he's my brother. Hector Bravo just started a new channel. Everybody knows he's had all these difficulties with YouTube and Patreon and everything else. So he started a new channel at Hector Bravo HQ. So do me a favor, you guys that watch my channel, I know a lot of you watch him as well. He just started out this new channel. Not many people know about it. So go over there and subscribe. Give him a watch because Hector Bravo drops some fire. He drops some fire. He got no filter. No filter whatsoever. And I've done his show a couple of times. And I'm certain that I'm going to be doing the show again in the future. So do me a favor, go check out those two channels. And you guys know I don't get up here and endorse anybody's channel. These guys are my brothers and my friends, and I know they put out great content. They got great integrity, and that's why I'm endorsing them. Other than that, when have you ever seen me endorse a channel other than my own? So if that's worth anything, please go subscribe to these channels. They would appreciate it, and so would I. I mean, we're down to help everybody starting out, and I'm not opposed to helping people who are trying to make it. Hector Bravo is a good brother. James is a good brother, and I strongly suggest these channels. With that said, let's get into it. These guys, San Diego Mob, and there's a couple that I didn't put up there, Cheeks and Roy Boy Ribas, right? Because they wouldn't fit. And I just wanted a neat little slide, right? But we're going to be doing profiles. This is Angel Serrano. He dropped out of the organization. This is old Catfish Lips. Look at them lips. Look at them damn things. Ooh. It looks like, in my mind, that's the noise coming out of his mouth right now. Ooh. It's like he's trying to look tough, but he can't because of them lips. So we know that's Raul Leon. Want to assure him that's a big bat right there. That's Jose Alberto Marquez. Look at the size of that black hand right there. I think that's the biggest black hand that Eddie Cardenal has. It goes all the way down to his torso. One of the fingers goes over here. It goes like right to there. It's massive. And that's Popeye. That's Big Popeye. The through and through. Mobster's mobster. Of course, he was killed, eliminated during friendly fire. This is Bubu Garcia, still active. Chino Madriaga from National City. That's Tawa, the barber. He's deceased. And Gato Martinez, he was deceased as well. He was beaten to death in the cell. But we're going to be doing profiles on all these guys. But people have been clamoring for San Diego Mob, San Diego Mob. And then you see some comments in there that San Diego set trips, and they do. In fact, Sherm would take all his homeboys from all over Pelican Bay Shoe and have them move to his unit. So the unit, Sherm's unit, was really just San Diego. All San Diego car. It's the first unit I'd ever seen like that. I mean, there are a couple guys that weren't from San Diego in there, excuse me. But the majority was San Diego. But that's not who we're here to talk about today. We're not going to talk about these guys. We are going to talk about the San Diego Mob. We're going to talk about this guy, old crazy boy, Rudy Espudo. That's a picture taken in Pelican Bay State Prison in 2003. And he's from Escondido. I first came to know about this guy when I went and testified in his case, Operation Notorious County. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I never heard of this guy, never heard anything like outrageous about him, like he eliminated this guy or he did that, right? I never heard anything like that. I just heard he was a Cardenal. He got made a Cardenal at some point after I dropped out, so I never had a chance to meet him. He looks kind of young there in 2003. In 2002, I'd already dropped out, and I would imagine he wasn't a Cardenal here because he looks like a kid. That's a young him. But let's talk about the indictment in law enforcement takedown. In January 2012, federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies concluded an 18-month investigation known as Operation Notorious County, led by North County Regional Gang Task Force and the FBI. The operation targeted the Mexican Mafia stranglehold on localized street gangs. Espudo was arrested during a pre-dawn raid at his residence. He was named as the lead defendant in a sweeping racketeer, influence, and corrupt organizations conspiracy indictment that charged over 50 individuals, alongside his sister in an operation called Operation Cardenalismo. His wife was also indicted and pleaded guilty to acting as a messenger, passing operational orders from Espudo to the gang while he was previously jailed. In fact, my FBI handler was Matt Zeman at the time, and Mike Kelly. It was first Matt Zeman, who was an original member of the Task Force on Violent Crime, in FBI Task Force on Violent Crime in San Diego, and then transitioned to North County. I think it was still the same office. They were still the same office, but they just handled North County, right? And then this was a North County investigation. And I remember we were speaking about this. We were going to court or a presentation or a training event, and we're in the car talking about Operation Notorious County. And he sent me some calls to break down in this investigation, and my function was limited in this investigation, but I was used for communications analysis and historic testimony about the organization, and they asked me to come in and testify. And I remember the United States attorneys in this case were Tara McGrath and I forgot the other gentleman's name, but I think it was Tara McGrath. And there were seven defense attorneys. In fact, I was on the stand for 4 days. And it was during my testimony in this that Bat's former attorney, Bat Marquez, Mexican Mafia member, was representing one of the defendants in this case. I think 7 of them went to trial on this. And it was I was on the stand, and the defense attorney asked me about Bat Marquez, if I knew who he was, if I knew he was in the Mexican Mafia. Then he opens up my book, The Black Hand, and says, chapter 13 is all about Bat Marquez. And then he brings the book to me, asked to approach the stand, and he brings a book to me and says, do you recognize this name? And I said, no. And he says, that's me. And he says, I represented Bat Marquez. He says, and this chapter is about Bat and me. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Transcripts are out there and they're available. But then he asked me the craziest thing. He asked me to sign the chapter about Bat Marquez and his defense of Bat Marquez. He says, I want you to autograph this right here. Will you do that? And I look at the judge, I look at the United States attorney, and I look at the jury. And everybody shrugged, all right, go ahead. And I thought it was a trap, right? I thought it was a defense ploy to say, Mr. Enriquez, you just signed that. You just autographed that book. You've carved out, some form of celebrity in this process, haven't you? Haven't you capitalized on this? And boom, boom. I thought he was going to go that route. That's what I thought. Because I'm thinking 10 moves ahead. When you testify, you have to anticipate what the question means. Not just the question itself, but what is he getting at? All good experts think about, what is the sand trap I'm getting into? Why is he asking me this question? And I thought that at that time. This guy's asking me this question and asking me to sign here, and he's doing it in front of the jury to show what he believes is that I've carved out some form of celebrity in dropping out and writing a book and capitalizing, blah, 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 right? It's been tried before. It's never worked. But that's what I thought. But no, he just wanted an autograph. So he gets the autograph. He closes the book. He gives me the pen to sign, and I sign right there on the stand. It's the only time in all my 65 trials that I've ever done it. And he takes the book, he closes it, he walks back to the table and says, nothing further, Your Honor. And in that moment, he sealed the credibility of my testimony for the jury. Because he said, in essence, to the jury, this guy's book, is so good that I want an autograph on it. He didn't dispute any of the facts in the book or anything of that nature. He just wanted the book autographed. So to the jury's mind, he said, well, even the defense attorneys want this guy's autograph, so there has to be some validity in what he's saying. So I think it was a monumental error on his part, and I'm sure that the other defense attorneys, were probably kicking him under the table. His shin probably came away with a couple of bruises on it. But that's what he did. I forgot his name. I could pull it up in the book and look it up, but you guys can pull the transcripts from the trial and check it out yourself. That's actually what happened. So this is a case that I was brought in on about a year before. So I did some work on this, ended up testifying on it. In fact, in May 9, 2013, Espudo pleaded guilty in the United States District Court for the Southern District of California to 3 major counts. 1, RICO conspiracy. 2, conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. 3, brandishing and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence and drug trafficking crime. On October 25th, 2013, U.S. District Judge Irma E. Gonzalez sentenced the 41-year-old Espudo to 35 years in federal prison. He subsequently attempted to appeal his firearms conviction, but the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit upheld the conviction in 2019, ruling that his armed enforcement of the gang's taxation scheme was valid. That was a valid sentence, right? They did not uphold this. They did not reverse the sentence. In fact, this is Rudy as he looks at time of his arrest. It looks far worse now. Believe me, I don't have a picture of him today, but imagine the youngster Rudy Espudo and this. His face is gaunt. He's got wrinkles. He looks angry, doesn't he? He looks like an angry man. But there's things going through his head. Crazy boy, that's what they call him. That's what they call Rudy Espudo, crazy. But this is him while housed at a federal facility. I believe it's Mesa, where he's being housed. But unbeknownst to him, Well, he's venting in the vent because there's vents on the walls in the jail cells, and you can speak to the vents. Common practice at every prison. The investigators in the FBI had the wherewithal and the intelligence to bug the vent. He doesn't even realize that the vent's it's wired up, right? Let's listen to him here talk to a camarada. And this is old school mob glecha. This is old school mob education or schooling, right? And this is what I believe in. This is what I was taught as a carnal. Let's hear him speak.
Que camarada entre camarada, hey, you take off your motherfucking camisa for another camarada, ¿sabes?
Yeah.
You always do what you can for one another. Because someday, this is where I came from. ¿Me entiendes?
Yeah.
Yo sí soy carnal, pero soy carnal porque I was a camarada. You know, so I never forget where I came.
So he said he was made a brother. He was a camarada before he became a carnal. And that word has significance. Camarada has significance. It's not the contemporary phrase that is today, that these freaking Edgars are using, and every crash test dummy that's on a yard uses. It's not even the phrase that they use when they do roll call. Buenos dias, camaradas. Or when they do the workout. Listo, camaradas. Those aren't camaradas. Those aren't true camaradas of the organization. Like I said 1,000 times before, camaradas are an elite group of individuals that earn the trust and are known by the organization. That is a label that's affixed by the organization, not self-appointed. You don't make yourself a camarada. That's not how it's done. And that is exactly what Rudy Espudo is talking about right here.
Because that's where we all began. ¿Me entiendes? So always conduct yourselves appropriately. There may be times where, let's just say they had us all that are in the vent in deep sink. And all you got is one little piece of fucking desodorante. Well, you know what, that little ass piece, we're all gonna so at least one day out of the fucking week or 2 days out of the week we don't smell like motherfucking motherfucking wet dog, you know? ¿Me entiendes? You know, we're put in a fucked up situation. Estamos acá atrás. Well, we're all we got is each other. You know? So I want you want us to always step back and always, at the end of the day, man, watch, at the end of the day, always step back and reflect what occurred, what you saw, what you learned, ¿me entiendes? Or just be grateful for a little something that occurred that day, and all like, órale, you know? At the end of the day, you get a correo, good news, no matter what it is, just at the end of the day, reflect upon what went on, you know? Pero ustedes de camaradas, you don't do that, man. And if another camarada brings it to your attention and you see no wrong in it, then shame on you. The líneas are fucked up out there. There's not too many vatos out there to dar la buena clecha.
And he's hitting on straight facts. Apparently something occurred where something went wrong. I don't have the entirety of this recording. I was provided this by a law enforcement agent. I believe it's been posted in the past, but it's never been digested and broken down and unpacked like we're doing today. But what he's talking about, that the líneas out there are all effed up. And that's the truth. Not now. Now the cardenas are on the mainland and they're running it with efficiency, right? For the most part, mesas have been disbanded. They don't make decisions for the organization anymore because cardenas are out there to do it. But at the time, this is 2012, 2013, 2014, it was chaotic. You know, this is a madhouse. And camaradas were abusing authority. They weren't even camaradas. They were just sycophants. A sycophant is like a yes man, like a bootlicker. Somebody made a comment the other day, just yesterday, it cracked me up. It said, holy bootlicking Batman. But these guys were holy bootlickers, right? Most of them were just in for, I don't know what that phrase is, clout, right? Clout. That's one of the phrases that I despise on YouTube, right? He wants clout, he wants this, but that's what they were after. They were after power. They had never been vested with power in their entire lives, and all of a sudden they're in a position as a mesero or a llavero or a bloquero to have this power, and they abused it. So he's talking about, I believe this here, the state of the general population in the California Department of Corrections.
That the camaradas need, you know? And sometimes some of the camaradas we have out there, they're so focused on trying to get to the top, they forget the man to the right and to the left. Okay? So, right now, ustedes tienen la oportunidad to pick at my brain and to see how a carnal views things, you know? ¿Me entiendes?
Yeah.
And the only way you're gonna do that is by bringing certain things to light. You know? This, what you guys brought to me, is a learning experience. Para todos, not only for that man. Well, apparently he's not picking up what is being laid down, you know. Pero para ustedes escuchar de mí cómo lo voy, how I see it, how I navigate through this, you know. At the same time, my perspective on why you don't do it, and you should have said sorry, you should have realized you're wrong, orale, you know, so forth.
So let's stop this right here. Rudy seems pretty damn intelligent. He's lucid, he's cohesive, he's linear, and he's got a clear train of thought, right? Like, this is your opportunity to dissect who I am and learn from my experiences and my perspectives, right? Great way of teaching. Like, he's encouraging them, hey, talk to me. Bring this stuff to me. This is good leadership. This is good leadership. Give credit where credit's due. Rudy was showing good leadership skills here. He was engaging with camaradas in his immediate housing area and showing them how to learn from a mistake rather than immediately penalizing them. He's teaching them. That's great leadership right there.
So when there's an issue, you guys always want to talk amongst ustedes, and if I'm up, ¿me entiendes? That way you guys can always school the next camarada chavalón that comes in your cell, you know? One or two of you vatos, let's say Stomper's by himself and an 18-year-old, 19 youngster comes back here for fucking whacking a rata. While everything Stomper's learned, shit like this proper etiquette, a way that a soldado, a camarada should conduct himself amongst his peers, y con los feelings, hey, he's to pass it down, you know? So that's why everything, situation that's here, you want it running like a smooth motherfucking machine, máquina. And it's a good thing que me avisaron, you got brought to my attention. It's small and petty, but it's a learning experience at the same time. ¿Me entiendes?
Sí.
If you're not sure about something, or it may, you know, let's say even something occurred 2 years ago, but you were unclear on why it occurred or something, or a perspective, I don't give a fuck, you can ask me, you know? You know, you guys don't be shy. I'm a man just like you guys. Don't be shy just because who I am, or feel that, orale, this brother's gonna think que soy llorón. Nah. The only way you're gonna learn is by asking. ¿Me entienden?
Simón.
That is an awesome example that he's showing these camaradas. Like, ask me. Don't think it's too petty. Don't think I'm too important. That is that fine leadership right there. I mean, if every cardenal was that way, the organization would run smooth, and they wouldn't have all this politicking amongst the camaradas, right? And the cardenales, right? From this perspective here, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's being a role model and a leader for the infrastructure, and he wants his crew to run like a well-oiled machine. He wants it to run efficiently and smoothly with clear communication, and he's making that known right now.
Yeah, so anything you guys got, you know, or if there's fucking fettling between you and another motherfucker, and you know, two fucking knuckleheads can't come to common ground, hey, well, you know what, then bring it to the higher courts for a solution. It's better that way, and maybe I can find an appropriate solution than two camaradas stabbing themselves over something that could have been resolved another way. You know what's happening out there in the linea? As a matter of fact, on one of the level 4 yards. I want you guys to pay close attention, you know. If you guys get back out there, avoid shit like this.
We're all validated, crazy.
Okay, well, you don't have to worry about it. But if you have another camarada that's going through something similar that what I'm going to explain to you guys,
Right.
then you can always pass down your wisdom to him.
Right.
You know, hey, you know, esto, this is wrong, this is the way that it should be, you know. Todos ustedes that are in the vent son camaradas.
Did you hear that? All of you that are in the vent are camaradas. That's what he's saying right there. He's calling them camaradas. They aren't naming themselves camaradas. That's the important distinction between camaradas and sureños. That the carnales consider them camaradas. Not this self-appointed title, yo soy camarada, I am a camarada, right? No. He calls them camaradas.
As camaradas, what are your guys' priorities?
Safety and security, the camarada, and the unity.
Fast.
And same thing, just the unity, making sure we're all among solid camaradas.
Tu compañero,
Yeah, the same as Marceli said, unity, make sure we're all on the same page, you know what I mean? So when we strive together.
Shay,
Solidarity. One jumps, we all jump.
okay, now you notice how some responses are the same, some are different.
Hell.
None of them is wrong.
You hear that? That's the mentality of camaradas. Like it's our safety and security. The primary purpose is to serve the organization. It's to serve the organization. That is the purpose of a camarada. But amongst camaradas, it's the safety and security of the group, right? It's unity. It's to always show unification on every yard because it's a show of force. It's a show of power. Camaradas have always been viewed as powerful because they have such high numbers, right? Sureños have such high numbers. And I don't want to confuse Sureños with camaradas because we made a clear distinction here. You're hearing real Mexican Mafia members talk about what a camarada is. Not this interpretation by law enforcement, not this interpretation by guys who thought they were camaradas and really weren't. Here, the carnales are naming the camaradas. That's what they're doing.
¿Me entiendes?
Simón.
They're all correct. Because that's what keeps us together. That's what keeps the steam of ours alive. You see? Different ways of expressing it or different pieces, but at the end of the day, that's what it all takes. Everything that ustedes say. Your loyalty as camaradas lies con la M.
There it is. Their loyalty as camaradas lies with the M. There is nothing more powerful in his statement through all this conversation than that. Because that's what their primary obligation, loyalty to the organization, to serve the organization. This is a huge recording, right? In the mind of a carnal who's active, who's functioning, who's lucid, who's humble, but still displaying clear leadership skills. That's what he's doing. He's schooling these guys down, and he's schooling them the right way. So that was him at his peak, right? That was Rudy at his peak. After his conviction, he filed a motion. He filed actually an appeal, a petition for writ of I don't even know how to pronounce that. That one. In the United States, that's the Ninth Circuit, right before the Supreme Court. So he went up the ladder with his appeal, and he's appealing something about the use of the gun and Vicar. And here is a clip that I found of his case, the oral arguments at the Ninth Circuit. Let's run a segment of that. This is his attorney right here. Let's run it real quick.
Good morning. May it please the court. Kara Hartzler on behalf of Mr. Espudo and Mr. Grotto. I'll begin with a question that the court asked us to address.
Mr. Grotto was one of his co-defendants in Operation Notorious County, and these are what you call oral arguments. before appellate court justices, Honorable Judge Klein, Gilman, and Nguyen.
Defendants' guilty pleas foreclose a collateral attack in light of the Supreme Court's decision in Class and the Seventh Circuit's decision in Davila. Class controls this case, dead on. And the reason is because both in Class and here, the person pleaded guilty and then they made a constitutional challenge to the statute of conviction. Class said in those circumstances...
So you get it that both of these individuals took plea bargains. They pled out, but now they're challenging the constitutionality of their sentence. So they want their cake and they want to eat it too. Like, hey, we're going to take the deal because we're going to get a lot of time if we don't. And then as soon as they take the deal, they file an appeal and challenge the constitutionality of that sentence. And needless to say,
a guilty plea is not foreclosed. That's exactly what we have here. So that resolves the question. And in fact, as we pointed out in our 28J, at least 3 other circuit courts have held post-Class that Class applies to similar circumstances.
Class is the case law they're referring to. But we're gonna continue. I just wanted to give you an example of an oral argument in their specific case, in Rudy Espudo's specific case. Unfortunately for him, the courts upheld this and affirmed his conviction. It was not reversed. He was granted no relief by the appellate courts. So they call him Crazy Rudy, right? Crazy Boy, that's his name, from Escondido. And by all accounts and reports from law enforcement, Rudy Espudo has slipped off the deep end. In fact, he filed this petition here. This is his petition filed with the United States Sentence. And let me read that to you. Rudy Espudo started this petition to the U.S. Senate, and it's titled Espudo Petition to U.S. Senate, 2020 Neural Chip Implant, Illegal Testing on Prisoners at Pelican Bay Security Housing Unit. The rumors are true. The use of neural technology was being illegally tested and used on prisoners in California's state prison system. The 2020 neural chip implants were being used despite federal regulations and California law preventing the use of such technology. Law enforcement secretly deployed these chips in California prisoners housed at Pelican Bay State Prison Security Housing Unit that were classified or identified as members of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's referred to as a security threat group, Mexican Mafia, or La M. So he goes on to say that neural chips were being utilized as eavesdropping devices and that they placed some in his teeth, right? That he's been affected by this, and he's filing a petition with the United States Sentence. He truly believes this. I remember something like this floated around when we were there, and it was ridiculous poppycock, right? It was just ludicrous to think that every time I went to the dentist, they were placing listening devices in my mouth, or every time I went to surgery, they were planting devices in me that were used for surveillance. That is ridiculous. I have never heard of such a thing. I don't know one person in the organization who followed this or supported this. I mean, we had some conspiracy theorists, but this is crazy conspiracy theory right here. And it's not just this that lends credence to the fact that Crazy Boy has gone crazy. He is completely isolated at ADX in Colorado, even among the Cardenales. All he talks about is masturbation, and nobody wants to be around him. He's been placed on disregard. He's gone off the deep end for real. And this has been verified that he's having a psychological breakdown and hyper focused on self pleasure. Hyper focused on self pleasure because that's all he talks about to anybody who'll listen, right? And like there's some heavyweight Cardenas that were around him, and they didn't even want him to be next to him because they'd have to listen to that all day. This whole thing about self pleasure and his whole get down, right? But this kind of clinched it for him. He was placed on disregard, and obviously he'll be targeted for elimination the first chance they get. I dare say that they won't ever put him around the Cardenas again because SIS and SIA within the Federal Bureau of Prisons understand his status. He's not going to make a comeback from this, folks. He's not going to make a comeback from this. This is pretty much it for him, and it's unfortunate that he degraded. You know, I feel empathy for him because it's a hard situation. People often say, like, oh, no prison can break me, but there's genetic predisposition to mental illness, right? And it's not just the prison; it's the whole thing. It's biology, it's environment, it's traumatic experiences that contribute to some people's degradation, right, and their maladies. So I'm not making light of this at all. I'm not. Believe me, I have family members that have suffered from mental illness. All of us have, and we've seen it in its throes and the very worst that people can be. We've seen that. Or we've experienced it, right? I myself suffer from complex PTSD. So I am not making light of it. So don't think I'm not empathetic towards Rudy. I really am. But you know, he's no longer the cardinal that he once was. He's not that shining pillar of leadership anymore. Not the guy that you heard in the event speaking. I'm going to try to get more of that recording soon. The pieces that have never been displayed or broken down. We're gonna get that for you if we can. Again, I'm just a one dropout with very little juice. But if we can get them, we will get them. And we're gonna put this up for you guys so you guys can read the petition in its entirety. It's way out. It's way out, and his behavior has become truly unstable. So that's the profile on Rudy Espudo. Rudy Espudo's on the shelf. He's been disregarded. He's not as lucid anymore. He's suffering from mental illness, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense at all. I feel empathetic towards an individual who is losing grasp with reality. But that's it. I mean, that's another point about prison, right? And I think every video should be viewed by the viewers as a dissuasive tool. Like, this is not what you want to do. You don't want to go spend the rest of your life in prison. You just don't, because things like this happen. Some people suffer greatly. Some people lose their lives. This is not a future for anybody. And it's my message every time. If this is really what you want to do, then go ahead and knock yourself up. Nobody can stop you from making the decisions you make, and you're the one that's going to be held responsible in the end. You're the one that's going to be in that 8x10 cell, rotting away and losing your mind. With that said, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of Rudy Espudo. We will bring you more cardenales in the profiles soon. As always, hype this video, drop a comment, leave a like, tell a friend. Peace out.
This is René Enriquez. Nickname Boots.